It is a day later. I think the audio just went off. So let's redo the start. Welcome everybody to today's cryptocurrency update for Saturday, March the 5th. It is a day later because yesterday I had pretty much everything that can happen in your whole life happen in one day. So I had unfortunately no time to prepare for the webcast. I apologize, but sometimes just a perfect storm brews. It was a good storm actually, but all things considered, everything happened all at once. That's fine. There's always a Saturday. The world doesn't end just in one day. So let's have a look here at all the cryptocurrencies that we're currently covering and see how, for example, bear markets progress and the anatomy of a bear market. Because I think Bitcoin is the best example where we've had now two 10% rallies in 1 month and zero progress, pretty much. So that is suspicious. That sounds like, I would say, short covering bear market rallies. You don't know that there are bear market rallies pretty much until after the fact, unfortunately, though we have a good option on the table that tells us what's going on. But before I go there, let's have a look at Avalanche first. Don't pay attention to all the charts that I'm going to cover today. Avalanche is, as you can see here, this is a simple trend chart. That's all we need to know, honestly. Focus on trends. That's all we need to know. My trading systems are trend following. So if there's no trend, especially in the shorter term, there will be whipsaws, but that's unfortunately the message the market gives us. We don't make the markets, we try to follow them, interpret them. Bottom line, as I showed you throughout the week, it needs to break above 90. Well, it failed miserably, right? Why does it need to break above 90? Because then we get above the Ichimoku cloud. If we get above the Ichimoku cloud, odds of good things happening increase. Luna was the perfect example. Bitcoin is the example that shows that chances of good things happening increase, but it doesn't mean good things will happen because Bitcoin literally failed. That's what I mean, why the odds of good things happening increase. Okay, there are no guarantees, there are no certainties. Above 90, we can target 110, 115 based on simple symmetry because we've been stuck between 70 and 90. Conversely, we break below 70, we can target 50. Below 50, we can target 35. Below 35, we can go down all the way here to about 10, 15. Yes, there is no reason why not. Things can be completely done and dusted for the cryptocurrencies. Yes, they might very, very well. It's not my preferred view, but my view will change when price tells me to change. That's just our interpretation. We anticipate, we monitor, we adjust. That's all there is. There's nothing set in stone. Moving on then to Binance Coin. Binance Coin, I said, had to break out here above 410 and then above 450. Well, you can see how we completely stopped at 410. This is a line chart showing closing prices, where we can see that the 50-day moving average was resistance, the cloud was resistance, all these bad things. You can see we remain under this cloud, and that is literally the lid on price, and price is simply suffocating. We have all these positive divergences going on, but divergence is only divergence till it's not. I always say that, I can't repeat it often enough. They're really good tools for when it happens. They're fantastic tools in foretelling that there is a change coming, but it doesn't have to. It's just more after the fact where you go like, aha, we had positive divergence. But very often this divergence will not push through. So price needs to act on it, so to say. And as you can see, we're in a traffic light where everything is red. And as long as it's red and the cloud is above price, it's a downtrend. And trending lower it is until we see those breakouts above these price levels. Very simple. Why is that the case for Binance Coin? Well, look what Binance Coin has done since mid-January. Right. First here in December, it rallied, not December, January it rallied, then it dropped really hard. And since then, it's just been sideways consolidating. Is this a bear flag or a accumulation phase? To be determined. One thing that threw me off here is this pattern that started here mid-January into mid-February. It looks like a diagonal here in this hue type of color. This looks like a diagonal, really nice, but it wasn't. So it's just an AB, ABC. That's it. So again, this is how we interpret things, but the interpretation is not necessarily correct. That's why we anticipate it. I interpret it. It looks like a diagonal, has a diagonal pattern to it, has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern to it. Looks good, but not. Why? Because price here on the 24th, on the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, sadly enough, fell below the January low. So this cannot be a leading diagonal because the price cannot go below the start of the diagonal. Okay, so since then we have been stuck between a rock and a hard place. Every time we're trying to go back above these resistance levels at 390, 430, it's only lasting for a day and we fail utterly. Okay, that is also a hallmark of a bear market where there are false breakouts aplenty. Bull markets are reversed, right? We have false breakdowns and then we get the reversal back up. Bear markets are false breakouts and we fall back below levels once again, every single time. Look at this trend line here in orange. Again, we have some false breakouts, failed. So we've been in this sideways mess between about 350 and 430 for 2 months now. This is why I say 3 updates per week is really more than enough. This should not be updated more than once every 3 months, honestly, because it doesn't tell us anything, right? A false interpretation of a leading diagonal, false interpretation of a breakout. I think that is a true anatomy of a bear market. If we break down below here about 360, then we can revisit the high 200s, 290. We can even go back all the way to 260. Please remember, bear markets, downside surprises, upside disappointment. Every single time we've had upside disappointment. Okay, all the rallies have been pretty much sold off. Bear market behavior. We need to get above 430, then we can target 500. If we get above 430, we finally have a decent breakout above this trend line. I really need to redo the wave count here, and this is also a hallmark of a bear market anatomy. This wave count continues to overlap and it continues to lead to different interpretations. It's nothing wrong with edit wave, it's just something wrong with me and my mental capacity. No, this is simply the hallmark of a bear market. We have all this overlapping price action, overlap after overlap after overlap, ABCs followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. Welcome to bear markets. It's just the way it is. If you can sit through this, you can sit through anything. Again, as I said before, losers quit, winners sit through this. That's just the way it is. Trust me, a lot of people quit. Oh, they're all sideline heroes. Okay, a lot of people quit. I'll come back later. Yes, thank you very much for joining here and then leaving here. And then what good does it do? This is where you join. And this is where you leave. You should do it the other way around. This is where you buy. This is where you sell. It's very, very simple. People are going to wait to see. I'm going to wait till things improve. Well, somebody really wealthy said that you should be greedy when others are fearful, and you should be fearful when others are greedy. His name is Warren Buffett. Last time I checked, he's doing reasonably well. But maybe you're doing better than him. Who knows? Again, the anatomy of this bear market is that we could have already completed this B wave bounce. It doesn't have to go to this 50% that ideal target zone. Again, the market doesn't owe us anything. Let's see here, we did just a little bit more than a 23.6% retrace, because honestly, B waves can do this much, okay? They can, anywhere in here is fine. So this could already be all of this B wave for Binance Coin, and now we're already in wave C. To be determined. It's not my preferred view, but again, I'll change my tune once I get there. We could have simply an A, a B, a C of wave A, as I showed you here for the, no, I don't have it here. That's another cryptocurrency. This could be A of A, B of A, C of A, and then we get B, and then we get C. Welcome to fourth waves, which are the nastiest of price structures and very hard to interpret. Again, we can only do a 23.6% retrace. It's fine for a B wave. It doesn't have to be 50%. That's kind of what we go by, because these are the known unknowns, as I mentioned before in the February 11th webcast. It's on YouTube. You should save it and revisit it every single month to understand the probabilities of possibilities. It can be enough. I cannot forecast this in the sense that it must go to 50. It must. No, there's no must at all. There is no guarantees. 23.6, that's a shallow B wave. Nothing we can do about. I still think this is a wave 4, and we still have a wave 5, how the technical indicators are set up, all those things. But we have to sit through this unfortunate 4th wave. Now here's Bitcoin. Look here, Bitcoin had the false breakout. It went above the clouds, fantastic, and look where we're now, completely fell through it. This is why I continue to say, if you want to long this, please make sure you raise your stops, take profits quickly. My trading system made this into a tiny little winning trade. Unfortunately, on Ethereum, it made it into a losing trade. I just can't capture such fast swings. It's really, really difficult to capture these fast swings in price, up, down, up, down. This is also more characteristic of a bear market. When you get a 10% price move and then back to where you came from, another 10% price move back to where you came from, that's not a healthy environment. This is 10%, 10%, 10%. That's what you want. You want to see price increase and not pretty much fall back to where it came from. False breakout, typical for a bear market, okay? Unfortunate, that's the way it is. Timing wise, it looks like we topped out here and we might have to wait until mid March before we see a meaningful bottom. It's not guaranteed, but that's what it's been following reasonably well, this 2-week interval. So the alternative option, as you know, is that we are now in a 5-wave C wave of cycle 4. That cycle 3 already topped in the spring of 2021 instead of the fall of 2021. We got the A wave down with the B wave up, and now in a 5-wave sequence down for cycle 4. This is option 1. Again, this has been bad times for a year. Right? This is the general trend over a year compared to the general trend in the previous year. Right? So we have to keep our bearish hat on. Now you can see the sideways price mess Bitcoin has been in, between 44,000 and 34,000, right? This is where we've been in for most of the year. We got, this is the start of the year. We dropped, we rallied, we dropped, we rallied. So it becomes quite hard to interpret this from Elliott wave perspective. But this is the option I've had on the table for a long time. So no surprises yet. I preferred the bigger bounce. I really, really do. But if that's wrong, then I'll change my tune, and then I have this option on the table. Remember, it's always 2 doors. You step through one, 2 more doors are in front of you. You step to that one, 2 more doors. It is this fractal nature of the market and this continuous possibilities, probabilities, because it's a probabilistic nature. It all depends on the information that becomes available for traders to make a decision. Right? Will Russia use nuclear weapons? Yes or no? Will the nuclear power plant blow up? Yes or no? All those things, all of it will be taken into consideration. Are the assets of cryptocurrencies frozen? All those things are all taking information. Market doesn't care what you know. What matters is price. Long story short, above 44,000, and we get a closing basis, not these spikes, a real good closing basis, we can target 54,000. Because then we have symmetry breakout. Below 34,000, expect 24,000, okay? If we go to 24,000, we have still a nice flat wave cycle 4. So the bulls are on watch. Until then, sideways it is, no direction. There's no direction. So this was and is still my original count where we have cycle 3 top here in November. And we have a flat wave 4, A, B, C. And we're now in wave 5 down to 28,000, 31, 32,000. Okay, that's this red arrow. I continue to mention that we need to break above 47,000 and a little bit to get this B wave going. If we don't, then this could still be the C wave. And so far we don't. We keep messing around this 40,000 level. Breakout, breakdown, breakout, breakdown. And this is what I mean with 10% rally, go nowhere. 10% rally, go nowhere. Compare that to here in September, October. 10% rally, right? This is strong. This is a bull market. Same here, continues to move higher. This is different environment. Welcome to a bear market. So this then supports the idea that we should expect lower prices. 40,000 is now resistance. This is Ethereum. Ethereum also is in a miserable state from a trend perspective. Okay, it's back even below its 10-day moving average. The traffic light is on. Winning trades are turned into losing trades, all that good stuff. But if you can make a losing trade into 10%, which prevents you from sitting through 50%, you did great. All right, that is your trading rule number 1. And if you can't handle 10% losses, then put your money in a bank account, and hopefully the Federal Reserve will increase the savings rates pretty soon, and you'll get a nice steady return. So here's the wave count. And as you can see, we're essentially below this orange trend line, which of course coincides reasonably well with the 50-day moving average and the cloud. So no surprise there, that is just the lid on this index. Again, a false breakout. Now the question then is, maybe all of wave B already topped. Okay, it's possible. It's not my preferred view from a timing perspective, but from a price perspective, it did enough. Normally, and I'll show you, B waves should top somewhere here, anywhere between this, just like I showed you for Binance. This is where a B wave should top. Okay, just stay below. Sorry about that, wrong button. Then we don't get the flat. Okay, I'm sorry, my interpretation was wrong. But we need to get back above this 3,200 level, 3,200, 3,300, and that we have filled. This is the target zone, ding, 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 and we're not over it. It filled there utterly at resistance. And now 2750 is once again resistance. So that is now resistance also. That's not a good sign. And it's more anatomy of a bear market where we continuously fail in turning resistance into support. It lasts for a day or two, sucks in everybody, including me. My analysis looks good, fails. So this is then the B wave target zone, and we got in there already. And the ideal B wave target zone is anywhere between this. This is your ideal target zone. So we got there. So we might technically have done enough, then that is the bounce. It could very well be, okay? If that's the case, it definitely is utterly disappointing, and I will have to change, unfortunately, my point of view. But again, welcome to corrections, which are just the hardest to interpret correctly. And if we can sit through this for a while, it'd be great. So we need to get back above at least resistance, which is now 2750, then above 3065. I really would want to see it above 3,200, 3,300. Those are the previous highs. Then we start making higher highs, okay? So we're not going to give up yet on the bounce. It's still possible, but then it shows you how complicated a bounce can become. They can be tremendously complicated because it's a B wave, and B waves are made up of threes. So and that's very hard to interpret. So we'll have to give it time. I don't see it yet. We're below resistance. We're below trend line resistance, and we'll have to give it simply time. Eventually, it will catch on. Moving on to Luna. Luna is the only bull in town, at least my town, which of the currencies I cover. This is what we'd like to see. This shows you what can happen if you break above the cloud. Good times, okay? Bitcoin fell prey to not so good times. The odds were not in its favor, which tells me it is still in a bearish setup. Support now is still at about 73, maybe 75, so 75, 70, that's now support. And over 100, we can target 150. It's definitely not impossible. Okay, so we have our support levels and we have our resistance levels. Why? Because in my humble opinion, bigger picture count-wise, Luna completed minor 4, should be rallying for a minor 5 to complete major 3, then a drop for major 4, and then another one. Okay, so bigger picture-wise, I remain bullish on Luna, unless it starts breaking below support, of course. Here's Maytag or Polygon. Bearish, tried to rally, but you can see here we're below all the moving averages. So it's a bearish setup. We need to get back above, excuse me, 185 and then 210 to really change the tune. Yes, we have all these positive divergences, but they're only divergences till they're not. And so far, price is not responding. So we have some upside levels to watch before I can turn that trend into something solid. It doesn't surprise me either for Maytag that it is kind of bullish, bearish, so to say, because in my humble opinion, we're in a primary 4 to about 80 cents, make it 90 cents plus or minus $1. That is my preferred view. So this has still some potential downside left. Yes, that means we can go all the way back down here to the July lows here. It's definitely not impossible. And then we should rally again for a primary 5, which fits with all the other cryptos. That's that one. Solana, last but not least, same here. It's making lower lows, lower highs, not a good sign. It's just not a good sign. And if it breaks below 79.80, it can target to 40, because then we are in this bearish descending triangle with about similar lows, but lower highs. Again, as you can see here, every time we run into resistance, it breaks down. Every time we run into support, it doesn't hold. So 80 is now key level to hold. 95 failed, so that is now resistance once again. Again, classic bear market behavior. And now that I've said it, let's go rally, right? Finally identified it, now we can rally. But we can't confirm this rally until we see those moves higher, back above 95, back above 115. So also Solana has some ways to go. And it is not going right now. It continuously falters at support. Resistance 95, we break above it, false breakout, and we're back below. False breakouts, hallmarks of a bear market. Similarly, as false breakdowns are hallmarks of a bull market. And that's the S&P 500. We don't need that for today's update. So, bottom line. Avalanche must go over 90 for more upside. Below 70 opens 50 to 45. We're stuck in a sideways price pattern for Binance coin between 355 430 for most of this year. Okay, breakout targets 500, breakdown targets 290. That's really where we are at. Be aware that in bear markets, the breakouts are often fake outs, just as in bull markets, breakdowns are often fake outs. I think Bitcoin exemplifies this as it broke above the Ichimoku cloud, only to fall back in it even faster than it broke above it. I hate it. It's nauseating, but I don't make the markets, and just the way it is. So we have to then realize this is bear market behavior, because Bitcoin has had 2 over 10% rallies in February, and price is pretty much back to where it came from. That's typical bear market behavior, not bull market behavior. So I still view as Bitcoin in a larger correction. So it can be that if we're in this flat wave 4, we had an A up, a B down, and a C up. The C up was this week's high, and now we're in wave 5 of wave C of wave 4 before the B wave takes hold. Okay, so we're in wave 5 of wave A of wave 4, not wave C. Then the B wave takes hold, then another C wave. Alternatively, it's 5 waves lower of a larger C wave, of a larger flat cycle wave 4, and then cycle 3 didn't top in November last year, but it already topped in April last year. So those are the 2 options we're tracking. Okay, one of the 2 will eventually be right, to be determined. Ethereum is weak, and it must really clear 3,200 with a start at 3,065 to rally to 4,000. If it cannot, it will fail and fall to 1,700 if it breaks below 2,300. Remember, bear markets, downside surprises, upside disappointments. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get that low. I'm not saying we'll get that low, but it can happen. Luna is the only bull in my town of all these cryptocurrencies. So as long as around 72, 75 holds, we can move higher for potentially 150, but we need to break above 100 level on a consistently daily basis. Maytag or Polygon, also weak, looks to be in a primary 4 and can target around 90 cents plus or minus 10 cents in a sloppy overlapping fashion to the downside. And sloppy overlapping fashion applies to Ethereum, Bitcoin, Binance coin, as well as Solana, because Solana is also weak. And this sloppy overlapping fashion doesn't make life easier for an elitician for sure. So please bear with me, pun intended. Solana is weak, continues to make lower lows and lower highs. Okay, a break below 50 or 80 can target as low as $40. And this is unfortunately bad news. Most of them are bad news except for Luna. So Luna is the only game in town, at least in my town, so to say. The rest is just not following along, which really starts to tell me this is the bear market environment we're in. And we've simply have to deal with that until we see these changes, these breakouts where we see truly resistance turn into support, not for a couple of days, but this persistent moves higher, not 10% up and then 3 days later 10% down. Those are just short covering rallies and typical for a bear market. So for now, I keep my bearish hats on for all these cryptos except Luna. Luna still needs to prove itself for 150. It's pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place right now, but we have clear support levels to watch. And please remember on trading, either sit on your hands, stay in cash, or if go long, take profits quickly, raise those stops quickly, because before you know it, a lot of your profits will unfortunately turn into losses. But that is the name of the game in bear markets. Please remember, I'll put it on the slide. He or she who comes out of it with the smallest losses, and nobody ever says with profits, comes out the winner. With the smallest losses comes out the winner. Okay, so if everybody has 80 or 90% losses and you have 60% losses, you won. Yes, so keep that in mind. We're not talking about 20%. All right, necessarily losses. We're talking about big losses because bear markets are really nasty, where it's very hard to make a profit. Okay, the only way to make profit is for shorting, but a lot of people are not allowed or can't short the cryptocurrencies. They just unfortunately have not the ways to do it. So if you can't short these cryptocurrencies, then if longing is the only option you have left, you're kind of in a pickle, because as I said, you have to really trade small positions, make sure you take the profits quickly, raise your stops quickly, and it can happen, as you've seen this week, really fast, 10% up, and before you know it, we're 10% down. So you gotta really make sure that you have these appropriate stops in place, and you gotta be aware that you're kind of playing with fire, so you will burn your hands. But hopefully one of these days, right, the trend will change into something more substantial. And for now, it's really struggling. All the divergences are there, but don't see the follow through yet. The wave count is still unclear. We can still get the fifth wave lower for Bitcoin to 30,000. So there's still too many bearish options on the table. But once in a while, you got to take the trade and see how it works out. But again, know that you can burn your hands. Make sure you only burn your fingers and not your whole hand, because those people that burn their whole hand will eventually have nothing left to hold their money in, so to say, whereas you will still have money in your portfolio. But have the right mindset, and eventually this will go away. Nothing will last forever. Bear markets don't last forever. Bull markets don't last forever. So we'll get through it. We'll have to track it. I'll see you all on Monday. Take care, trade safe, and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.